Today, we're going to talk about a character every video game enthusiast must be familiar with. I'm talking about Kratos. Kratos is a character that went through a lot. His evolution is remarkable. I mean, how did they develop his character from good to evil to goat? So, that's exactly what I'm going to do in this video today. We're going to do how evil Kratos is in every game of the God of War series game. But instead of a tier list, I'm going to go from lower to higher, which means we'll start from the game in which Kratos is the least evil, and work our way all the way up to the most evil ones. Without wasting any time, let's start. The first game, in which Kratos is the least evil, is God of War 2018, or some might call it God of War 4. And why I'm saying that is because that's what the whole concept of the game was, and that's exactly what the game shows us. See, around the time when Studio decided that, yeah, it's time to reboot the God of War series, and we would want to show people a new version of Kratos, they decided, what can we do today? So they decided that instead of a berserk, evil, psychopathic villain like that, or Kratos, we're going to turn him into a mature father figure. And that worked well. That worked fabulously well. They even won Game of the Year. And that's exactly what happens in the game. Kratos is no longer rageful. Yeah, he's still strong and dangerous, if mean to be. He's still ready to kill, but he's not ruthless anymore. He isn't seeking any kind of revenge or vengeance anymore. He's just trying to raise his son to be better than him. Yeah, he suffers from identity crisis in the whole game. He does not want to Atreus like him. He's kind of insecure about that. And that's why I believe that Kratos is the least villain in this game. He actually looks and feels like a human in this. So this game is the least evil version of Kratos. Now the second game, and it's just after the God of War, which is God of War Ragnarok. Mind-blowing game, best, and I think Kratos is still relatively good in this game too. His rage and, anger kind of returned a bit. But overall, he was still just this new Kratos who is angry and vengeful anymore. He was still a good father figure to his son, who has changed since the first game too, and he did a great job raising him. Not perfect, but yeah, he did. And this game had more action than the first game, definitely, and that's justifiable. But still, in this game, Kratos is not very well noticed form, which we're going to talk about in the later games. So this game is in the second spot. Now the third spot is God of War Ascension. After the latest entries in the God of War series, we are going back to 2013, when God of War Ascension was released. For timeline purposes, this game is the first game in the series in timeline order. It tells the story of when Kratos was still under the command of God. He still wasn't betrayed. And here, Kratos is still kind of evil and lustful for winning, but he still feels bad for his actions. He still has some human or emotional characteristics. He still lives as a psychopath. But this game is the first one where you will see that, yeah, Kratos has some dark and different sides to him. The next game on our list is God of War Chains of Olympus, a PlayStation portable title. Even though this game is still available for PlayStation 3, yeah, this was the time when Kratos was still serving the God of War, Olympus. He was still their war machine, And if you have played the game, you can see that Kratos does not have many noticeable good characteristics. He's just a lustful murderer. He does what he's commanded to do, and he just kills people right and wrong. But he was still in the pure evil form of another game, which we're going to talk about later, where he showed no stoppage. He just did carnage. But in this game, he wasn't still in his prime form. He was still just a puppet, you can say. Next game is God of War, Ghost of Sparta. Now this game takes place between God of War 1 and God of War 2, and by law and logic, Kratos should have been a bad MF in this game, but he wasn't. He was still evil. I'm not gonna lie, but he wasn't pure evil. What I believe that this game tried to do was make some changes for the portable version of the game. The plot is good in this game, but it's not at the top of the God of War level, and I totally understand that. Not every game can have a mind-blowing story, but yeah, this game comes in 5th place, and the next game in which Kratos is more evil, and I think this is the first game where he is the devil himself, if God of War 1. The whole premise of the God of War 1 game is that Kratos has been betrayed, and now he will take revenge by killing every single god. And it takes him like a full trilogy to do everything, but he did. And in the God of War 1 game, this is the way everything is set. This is why the God of War became what it became, because back then, Sony and Studio managed to create a hero, which is not really a hero. You are controlling a pure monster, a villain. And that's what made Kratos so unique. He simply does not hesitate to kill anyone. Sometimes he willful his little humanity in the game, like when talking to someone, where he appears a little bit of human. But overall, against monsters and people he thinks in God's creativity of maniacs, he goes berserk. And this takes me to my second game, and the game where Kratos is the second most evil, which is God of War 2. Now in this game what happens is that Kratos thinks that yeah, everything will be all right now. He might have a normal life. But he forgets that everyone hates him. Everyone. Totally everyone hates him. And Kratos is like, fuck it, if you hate me, I'm gonna hate you too. And he starts his campaign against the gods, to butcher them and everyone around them. And his vengeance just increased from the first game. In the end of the first game, people thought, yeah, now Kratos might go south, but through the light, hell, you guys haven't seen anything yet. Now see the more crappy and badass version of Kratos. But this is still not the most evil version of Kratos. Kratos has devils in the game too. But there is a pure evil version of Kratos, which we saw in God of War 3. God of War 3 was my favorite God of War game. No hate to the modern titles, but God of War 3 was simply different. And Kratos in this game was just iconic. He was pure evil, and people did not hate him. People loved him. In this game, Kratos was totally consumed by dreaming inventions. They were just no what-ifs or any barriers somehow. He would have killed his own family if that meant achieving his goals. That's how crazy he was in this game. So I believe in God of War 3. Kratos was his most evil form, and we will never see that again because the studio will take Kratos to any mythology they want, maybe in the Egypt mythology, but they will never again show Kratos in this form. It's simply not possible. And so God of War 3 will go down as one of the most brutal and insane games ever. So this was my video where I presented how evil every version of Kratos is, and we concluded that God of War 3 is the right answer. But you can always comment. Pick what you think about that in the comment section, and I'll reply to you and see what you think. And if you enjoyed the video, you can subscribe and like the video. That will help a lot, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care, and have a nice day.